just you and me.
Good morning at this time. Radio Cayman takes you live to the Government House of the West Bay Road for live coverage of the official birthday parade and celebration. Radio Cayman's April Cummings standing by. April?
Good morning, Susan. I am here in front of Government House with Giovanni Ebanks, fondly known as Jevy Ebanks.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. It is a beautiful day out here today, and to be quite frank, we are pleased that there is no rain tumbling down upon us as we speak. Everyone is beautifully attired. The parade, the kind of the pre-parade, I like to call it, where the mass contingent sort of makes its way in, is in position right now, and we're in the process of waiting for arrivals on this momentous occasion.
Absolutely. Beautiful and spectacular arrangement of the uniformed services right now along the West Bay Road in front of the Governor's Government House. Of course, we have detachments of the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, the Cayman Islands Regiment, the Cayman Islands Fire Service, His Majesty's Cayman Islands Prison Service, the Cayman Islands Coast Guards, as well as detachments of the Girls Brigade Cayman Islands, the Cayman Islands Scouts and Cub Scouts, and the Cayman Islands Cadet Corps.
And everyone is lined up. The parade contingents are lined up and waiting for the arrival of the various dignitaries this morning.
And this is all in celebration of the birthday of King Charles III, happening right now on the West Bay Road.
For those of you who may be driving this morning, then you should bear in mind that this portion of the roadway is closed off. The parade is earlier this year than it has been in prior years, starting at about 8 o'clock. Generally takes about an hour to an hour and a half. So there are some sort of back routes you might need to take to get here.
Yes, of course, as April said, you cannot drive on the West Bay Road at this time. It is completely blocked off, but of course, all of this is happening today not just for the birthday of King Charles III, which is the namesake, but of course to honor the recipients of the King's Birthday Awards.
And I just want to clarify something Jevy just said. Not all of West Bay Road is closed, but just this portion that is between Regatta House and just around Governor's Square, so you can still make your way around things if you need to.
Absolutely.
So, Jevy, let's just talk a little bit about the recipients of the honors and awards today.
Well, we start off with the members of the Order of the British Empire, commonly known as MBE. The award is for outstanding achievement or service to the community. This will have had a long-term significant impact and stand out as an example to others. So those are the persons that are honored in the member of the Order of the British Empire, and this year the first one that is receiving honors is Mr. James Watler for services to public service and education in the Cayman Islands. And of course his award announcement was made back on the 3rd of January 2023.
And his sponsors are Ms. Lucille Seymour and Ms. Azitha May Bodden.
And the next award honoree is Miss Sharon Marie Martin for services to education and the community in the Cayman Islands. And her announcement for the award was announced on the 2nd of January 2024.
And I'll just tell you that if you don't call Miss Marie, and you call her Miss Sharon, she will put you in detention, Jevy.
And if you don't know that, you would have noticed that the formerly Georgetown Primary School was changed to the Sharon Marie Martin Primary School, and then that was changed for that exact same reason to the Marie Martin Primary School, because she was threatening to give everyone detention if they didn't change the name of the school appropriately. And who could blame her?
It's interesting, too, that both of these first two are educators for many, many, many years, and their contributions are invaluable and sometimes, frankly, Jevy, overlooked in
Absolutely.
these cases, because generations of students have either been in their classrooms or as they moved, in some cases, up the chain in terms of the Department of Education Services, as we call it now, They served in different ways. So the impact of educators on the Cayman Islands community cannot certainly be overstated by any stretch.
Absolutely. And as I look around here on the West Bay Road, I can see members of Parliament that are here and seated. I see the Honorable Deputy Premier, Honorable Andre Ebanks. I also see Minister of Youth, Sports and Heritage, Honorable Isaac D. Rankin. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I also see Minister of Border Control, Labor and Culture, the Honorable Dwayne Seymour.
And I will confess, Jevi, that from this point on the road, my vision is not as sharp as yours, but I can sort of describe a bit how the layout is.
For the arrival of the Premier of the Cayman Islands, the Honorable Juliana O'Connor Connolly, MP.
And as you heard right there, the public is now standing and awaiting the arrival of the Honorable Premier, the Honorable Juliana O'Connor Connolly.
So this tradition, if you will, Jevi, goes back far longer than you'll remember as a child. I certainly remember attending these events. And I have to say that it was quite exciting in my time as a young person, because everyone would get dressed up in their, beautiful outfits and uniforms.
The parade contingent now at attention as the lovely April Cummings shows her age on public radio.
Once again. And you may notice we will be moving around a little bit throughout the morning so that we can try to capture moments of what's going on for you, auditorily speaking.
And of course, if you want to see the proceedings and you're not able to join, of course you can listen to us right here on Radio Cayman, but of course the service is also being live streamed via the Cayman Islands government TV station, and that's all brought to us by the Cayman Islands Department of Communications.
And the Premier here at the dais.
A beautiful blue dress the Premier is wearing. Absolutely stunning, looking like the Caribbean Sea, I'm assuming is the theme.
I think that would be an appropriate judgment. So what we're seeing right now is a walk up, basically, to the governor's residence. In the past, this ceremony would have been held in downtown Georgetown, in front of Parliament.
Standing for the arrival of Her Excellency, the Governor, Jane Owen.
But in recent years, it has moved here to in front of Government House.
A little sea breeze for the occasion, I think, is quite appropriate for the occasion.
So the gates at the governor's house are open. We sometimes call it Government House, but I say Governor's House to avoid confusion on my own end.
And there I can see the governor arriving. He's now passed through the gates and is proceeding to the dais. Did I say that right?
I believe you did.
All right.
But if we have not, I am sure one of our fabulous Radio Cayman listeners will correct us promptly.
Absolutely, and all complaints can be sent to april.cummings@gov.ky.
Her Excellency Governor Jane Owen now making her way to the dais, accompanied by Commissioner of Police Kurt Walton.
And as well, Mr. Ian Yearwood of the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service. The official salute of the uniformed services to the Governor of the Cayman Islands, Her Excellency Mrs. Jane Owen.
seated.
So there are a series of tents set up on the location, two sets for dignitaries on the left and right if you're facing the governor's house. The parade is in the street, standing in their various groups. And then behind that you have things like the Cayman Islands government TV crews in the background, but also tents for the public to shelter them from the sun.
And Her Excellency Ms. Jane Owen is now inspecting the color guard here on West Bay Road. It appears that she is starting with the fire service and, the Coast Guard, and working her way down. You can hear the drums in the background.
We do like our share of pomp and circumstance.
Yes, we do. And if you are interested in joining us here for the festivities, there are also public viewing tents that are set up along the westbound lane of the West Bay Road. So this is the same side as the Governor's Square, the plaza that hosts, of course, cost you less. If you want to view, there's parking there as well, and there's tents set up along the westbound lane on the side of the road for the viewing public.
And Her Excellency continuing now to make her way down the line.
Excuse me,
Officers.
eastbound lane.
Eastbound, correct.
As the governor inspects the parade today, whether you're listening on Radio Cayman or on the Cayman Islands government TV, it's seeming more than just a King birthday celebration, more of a Cayman 27 reunion as well. We see Miss Kafara Augustine representing the Cayman Islands TV station, Leighton behind the cameras as we've come to expect, and of course the star of Cayman 27, Miss April Cummings, broadcasting live for Radio Cayman.
Thank you for that, Joey. So one of the fun parts about this occasion is actually to see a lot of the work that goes into making an event like this happen, not just the broadcast side of things, but also there is a great deal of work that happens through the protocol office and cabinet. And so we see a lot of familiar faces every year here. They're doing everything from handing out programs to making sure that the elderly folks have seats, just really trying to keep everyone comfortable and make sure that everyone is where they need to be.
Absolutely. And now Her Excellency Miss Jane Owen is inspecting the Cayman Islands Fire Service, adorned in their outstanding red colors, red, black, and gold. And we can see that there are tourists who are joining the roadway and watching from the side, even some joining us here on the eastbound side of West Bay Road. Her Excellency Ms. Jane Owen speaking to members of the Cayman Islands Fire Service.
She's quite animated, having a few conversations as she makes her way down the line, taking a moment to greet and smile and have a few words.
And of course, not to be left out, she's also inspecting the Cayman Islands Scouts and Boy Scouts, who are so beautifully dressed
They look
for
very
the
dapper.
occasion. Dapper. Dapper is the word.
And the music in the background you're hearing is the Mass Contingent Band.
Again, for those of you who are just joining, the parade contingents include detachments of the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, the Cayman Islands Regiment, the Cayman Islands Fire Service, His Majesty's Cayman Islands Prison Services, the Cayman Islands Coast Guard, a detachment of the Girls Brigade Cayman Islands, the Cayman Islands Scouts and Cub Scouts, and the Cayman Islands Cadet Corps. My apologies, His Majesty's Cayman Islands Prison Service.
That is a habit that it's a little hard to break for us still after all these years. So I should also mention that while this parade and observance is taking place this morning, at 5:30 this evening, the King's Birthday Garden Party will be held on the lawn at the Governor's residence, hosted, of course, by Her Excellency Mrs. Jane Owen. And while we mentioned a few of the players involved, the Cayman Islands Protocol Office, we also should mention that the Governor's Office has a large role in this event.
Absolutely. And again, for those of you wishing to join, there are public viewing tents set up right in front of the Governor's Square entrance on the east side lane facing the Governor's residence. Of course, if you just want to tune in to our lovely service at Radio Cayman, we want to thank the persons back in the studio, Miss Susan, as well as Mr. Dean, who has us up and running. And of course, you can also view it on the Cayman Islands Government TV channel.
All right, taking just a moment, we're walking around a little bit just to see what else is happening out here this morning.
I see Cabinet Secretary Mrs. Samuel Rose, who's also present for today's festivities, as well as Chief of Fire, the head of the Cayman Islands Coast Guard, and as well as members or staff of the Cayman Islands Parliament.
We're also seeing quite a representation of members of Parliament, ministers, as well as, not seeing opposition just yet, but we normally do on these occasions.
Speaking of members of Parliament, I can see MP for Savannah, Ms. Heather Bodden.
He's also a parliamentary secretary as well.
Parliamentary secretary, that's correct. Minister of Health and Wellness, the Honorable Sabrina Turner. Honorable Minister for Planning. Minister of a lot of things, really, the Honorable J.E. Banks. Minister of Tourism and Ports, the Honorable Kenneth Bryan.
And of course, as we mentioned previously, Premier the Honorable Juliana O'Connor Conley.
Absolutely.
You're listening to Radio Cayman's live coverage of the King's birthday celebrations being held on West Bay Road in front of Government House, Governor's residence.
The contingent is on the move again. And of course, in case you're just tuning in, the contingent is led by the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, as well as the Cayman Islands Regiment, the Cayman Islands Fire Service, His Majesty Cayman Islands Prison Service, the Cayman Islands Coast Guard, the Girls Brigade Cayman Islands Scouts and Cub Scouts, and the Cayman Islands Cadet Corps, with Her Excellency Miss Jane Owen looking on, Police Commissioner Kurt Walton to her right, Inspector Ian Yearwood to her left. So it's here along West Bay Road. We're encouraging you to join us. As we said earlier, there are tents set up for the viewing public, and it is getting slightly more crowded, but certainly more seats are available. And as April told you earlier, later this evening at around 5:30, there will be the garden party in recognition of the birthday of King Charles III. His Majesty King Charles III became king on the 8th of September 2022 and was crowned in Westminster Abbey on the 6th of May 2023. Alongside his commitment to public service, official and ceremonial duties in the United Kingdom and overseas. His Majesty cares deeply for the many charities and wide range of causes he supports in the fields of art, healthcare, education, and young people.
And just a quick mention, we'll have a little bit more on His Majesty in a moment, but there have been some technical difficulties with the video live stream for CIG TV. So you can continue to listen to it live on Radio Command 89.9 FM. Of course, they're recording everything, so they will be playing it back at a later point in time. So if you're missing your live stream, that is the cause, and you can definitely continue to listen in throughout the morning. More now on His Majesty King Charles III. He is the head of the Commonwealth family, and that includes the overseas territories. He is a vocal advocate that nations are strongest when connected, and that by working together we can build resilience and respond to global challenges. He's described as a passionate supporter of conserving and protecting the environment and limiting climate change, and is a champion of empowering young people to look after the world around them and tackle the challenges ahead.
We were speaking earlier of the recipients of honors and awards. We spoke earlier of the two persons who are being awarded, the member of the Order of the British Empire, Mr. James Watler, and Miss Sharon Marie Martin. But we should also speak of the British Empire Medal, BEM. The BEM is a British and Commonwealth award for meritorious civil or military service worthy of recognition by the Crown.
And the recipient is Mrs. John Doe Obi, who is more than familiar to you if you're aware of the work of the Red Cross. And she's being recognized for services to the community in the Cayman Islands. And as I look around me, I see the familiar Red Cross, red volunteer t-shirts and van. One of the things they do at events like this, for example, is to make sure there's enough water around to tend to people who may experience heat exhaustion or anything of the like. But whenever there is an emergency, whenever there is a disaster, a challenge, the Red Cross is there. Their shelter, as you may remember, opened up just this week when we saw storms because some people needed a place to go. So it is that work and that service that's being recognized.
And as the parade is marching past Her Excellency the Governor, there's still a bit more to come, including the symbolic arrival of the Sovereign, as well as a 21-gun salute, 3 cheers for His Majesty the King, as well as a prayer by Reverend John K. Evans Jr., as well as the singing of the Cayman Islands national song, Beloved Isles Cayman.
Everyone looking very sharp this morning, by the way. They're holding up pretty well overall, I must say. So
The suits and outfits are so good, they don't even seem to be cracking a sweat. Quite impressive.
I must say. So once the symbolic departure of the Sovereign occurs and the prayer and singing of the national song, as Debbie mentioned, occurs, then we will have the presentation of honors and awards. And these are presented by Her Excellency the Governor, but announced by Acting Deputy Governor Gloria McField-Nixon. And then another part of the ceremony is the Royal Salute, received by Her Excellency the Governor. The Governor and her party depart, the Premier receives a general salute and then departs, and then the parade departs.
It's all happening here on the West Bay Road in front of the Governor's residence, officially called the Cayman Islands Government House, right next to the Westin. And you can hear in the background drums and other musical instruments as the parade complete their march past Her Excellency the Governor.
You're listening to the mass contingent band. It is made up of members of different parts of the service, and they do a beautiful job every year.
A shout out to the members of the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, keep keeping order and peace and directing traffic as the festivities and proceedings carry on.
And as Debbie mentioned earlier is rather, well, I find it charming, in fact. Some of the visitors to the islands who are staying at the hotel next door have come out, and you can see them standing by the roadside with their cell phones out, taking video and pictures. It's really a rather lovely sight to see. And it's sharing a part of our culture. This is one of the traditions that we have had for decades. Weeks at least, outside government building Radio Cayman, I have heard more than my share of, I call it, why are they shouting out there? And it is the practice that takes place as they all prepare for this parade. It is hard work, not just to wear these uniforms in the sun, but there is a precision that's involved and a way that things need to be done. There are commands to learn. And so all of that is now on display right in front of us. Most of the groups appear to have a flag bearer as part of their contingent. You're listening to Radio Cayman's live coverage of the King's birthday celebration.
Cayman Islands Scouts moving through a sharp contingent. I see people, of course, who I recognize, staff of the Cayman Islands Parliament and friends, followed behind the young Cub Scouts, probably here to tie knots for the occasion. The Cayman Islands Fire Service up next. The only fire that they are not able to address is the sun. Everything else, they got it covered. Thank you so much to the Cayman Islands Fire Service for their dedicated service.
And just a reminder for those of you listening in, if you were looking for the live stream on CIGTV, there's been some technical issues with that, and so you can continue to listen live to Radio Cayman, and then the video of today's event and ceremony will be uploaded later and broadcast.
This is the first birthday celebration that we've had for the new monarch, King Charles III.
You know, Jevy, I'm embarrassed to say that I was trying to figure that out this morning. I'm very impressed.
And of course, as Ms. Cummings told you earlier, she does remember these ceremonies from way back.
I certainly do. I certainly do. One thing I will say is that the governor of the day would wear a uniform as well, with a hat and all kinds of feathers.
Yes.
It was quite hot.
And I think over the years that has been changed, not to give the impression of the overlords looking down on his subjects, but rather that the governor, who is the representative of the king, is but one of the subjects as well. Subjects nonetheless.
You're listening to Radio Cayman's live broadcast. I'm April Cummings, and the handsome young man that you're hearing with me is Jevy Ebanks.
Thank you.
Please stand and remain standing for the symbolic arrival of the sovereign.
And I'm being
His
corrected.
Majesty
This is the
King
second
Charles
parade
III.
for King Charles the Third. That is the great thing about our Radio Cayman listeners. They don't let you make a mistake for too long, and it is always appreciative. That is why we love our Radio Cayman listeners.
Absolutely.
For those of you joining, you just heard the national anthem, God Save the King, as they're doing the official salute and flag raising to the Great Britain flag.
It was the 21-gun salute.
Headdress removed of the contingent. That is the 3 cheers for His Majesty the King.
Please do remain standing for the symbolic departure of the sovereign, His Majesty King Charles III.
The flags are being raised once again for the salute of the symbolic departure of the sovereign. In just a few moments, we will hear a prayer for His Majesty the King from Reverend John K. Evans, Jr.
Please remain standing as Pastor John K. Evans will now offer a prayer for His Majesty the King.
Let us pray. Eternal Father and righteous God, we thank you, Lord, for your grace, mercy, and blessing. We thank you for your presence and for shielding us today give thanks for the wonder of his life and for all the stages and seasons he has gone through. We ask for your blessings on the way ahead. May we continue to walk with you as a great guide, counselor, and close friend. Let us say the Lord's Prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you, and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his light of his countenance upon you, and give us peace now and forever and always. Amen.
Ready, stand, easy.
Please all stand at attention for our national song, Beloved Isle Cayman, led by Delaney McTaggart.
Ready, parade, Sean.
Thank you, Pastor Evans and Delaney. Please be seated.
You're listening
Right.
to Radio Cayman's
Stand
broadcast
at
of
ease.
His Majesty King Charle
Stand,
III
is it?
birthday parade in front of the Government House on West
It is
Bay
time
Road.
now for the presentation of honors and awards. Recipients for the King's Honors will be called by the Acting Deputy Governor, Gloria McField Nixon, and presented by Her Excellency, the Governor.
Acting Deputy Governor Ms. Gloria McField Nixon making her way to the dais. And of course, ceremonies like this would not be possible without the lovely volunteers who make it possible, including the Cayman Islands Red Cross and Lions. Where there's a need, there's a lion.
Presentation of honors and awards. To be member of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, MBE, Mr. James Watler, for services to public service and education in the Cayman Islands. This honor was announced on 3rd of January, 2023. Mr. Watler's sponsors are Miss Lucille Seymour and Miss Azita May Bodden. Sponsors are former recipients of an award that is equivalent to or higher than an MBE.
Everyone is bowing now. Mr. Watler has received his award.
To be member of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, MBE, Miss Sharon Marie Martin, for services for education and to the community of the Cayman Islands. This honor was announced on 2nd of January, 2024.
Miss Martin going to collect her award.
Miss Martin's sponsors are Miss Lucille Seymour and Miss Andrea Bryan. Sponsors are former recipients of an award that is equivalent to or higher than an MBE.
And there is Ms. Marie Martin.
The namesake of the now Marie Martin Primary School, formerly the Georgetown Primary School.
And even though Mrs. Martin is allegedly retired, at every event that is education-focused, information-focused, she's there still supporting.
Yes, retired in name only, I think is the way they describe Miss Martin. The 2024 King Birthday celebration is underway here
The
on West Bay
British
Road.
Empire Medal, BEM, Mrs. John Doe Obi, for services to the community in the Cayman Islands. This honor was announced on 1st of January, 2022.
So to educators and community service of a different kind. Mrs. Jonda Obi, known for her work with the Red Cross in the Cayman Islands and being a fierce advocate for the organization, which does a great deal to provide support in times of emergency and need in the Cayman Islands.
A huge shout out and thank you to the volunteers, including the Red Cross, who you were just speaking of earlier, who make events like this possible. A huge shout out to our uniformed services.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Radio Cayman for the 2024 birthday parade and celebration of His Majesty.
And now the
Charles III.
announcement of birthday honors for new recipients. Member of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, MBE, Mrs. Susan Doak, for services to midwifery in the Cayman Islands. King's Police Medal, Mr. Derek Byrne, for services to policing in the Cayman Islands and in support of other British overseas territories. Ladies and gentlemen, our new recipients for the 2025 King's Birthday Honors. Thank you.
You are listening to Radio Cayman's live coverage of the King's birthday parade.
Thank you, Acting Deputy Governor. That concludes the formal ceremony as we celebrate the official birth of His Majesty King Charles III, our sovereign head. Thank you all for joining us today, and congratulations to our recipients. Please do remember that Her Excellency the Governor has invited everyone to join them on the lawns of Government House for the garden party beginning at 5:30 p.m. today. Now please stand for the official departures, beginning with Her Excellency the Governor, Jane Owen.
Right, forward, shun. Right, shoulder, arms. Royal salute, present, arms. Shoulder, arms. Order, arms.
And Her Excellency Governor Jane Owen now departing to walk back into the gates of Government House.
Right, stand at ease. Stand easy.
And as she makes her way through the gate, the contingents are at ease.
She's received.
Please remain standing for the departure of the Premier of the Cayman Islands, the Honorable Juliana O'Connor Connolly.
Right, forward, shun.
Police Commissioner Kurt Walton,
Right, shoulder, arms.
the Governor, and now the Premier of
General salute, present,
official
arms.
departure, getting in his steps.
Shoulder, arms.
Mrs. O'Connor Connolly departing to the
Rider,
government
stand
house.
at ease. Stand easy.
And of course, a reminder that a bit later today, around 5:30, when it's hopefully a bit cooler at that stage of the day, the traditional garden party will be held here at the governor's residence.
Please standing for the departure of the Commissioner of Police, Kurt Walton.
Closing his rings on his Apple Watch there.
Rider, parade, Sean.
Or his Fitbit, Jeffy.
Yeah, could be.
So for those of you who generally enjoy watching this proceeding on the Cayman Islands Government live stream channel, you will need to wait just a wee bit for that. There were some technical issues with the live stream there this morning. They are recording the entire event and will be posting it soon for the public to enjoy. In the meantime, we have transmitted our feed of today's.
That ends our program. Thank you for joining us here today as we celebrate His Majesty King Charles III's official birthday. Do enjoy the sights and sounds of the parade as they march off. Again, we ask that you stay in place until the parade is off of Parade Square. The parade, led by the police band, comprises of contingents representing the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, the Cayman Islands Regiment, the Cayman Islands Fire Service, His Majesty's Prison Service, the Cayman Islands Coast Guard, the Girls Brigade, the Cayman Islands Scouts Association, and the Cayman Islands Cadet Corps.
Rider, in close order, in words, dress. Rider, all eyes front. Shoulder, arms. Rider, general salute, present arms. March off the colors.
Yes, sir. Color party. Quick, march. Right, Liz.
As the birthday parade draws to a close, you are listening to the proceedings live on Radio Cayman. The contingent beginning their parade for the closing, led by the Cayman Islands flag, the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service,
Rider, shoulder, arms.
as well as other detachments of
Right will march off in column of route. Police contingent leading. Move to the right in files. Right, turn.
led by the mass contingent band of the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service. The parade includes detachments of the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, the Cayman Islands Regiment, the Cayman Islands Fire Service, His Majesty's Cayman Islands Prison Service, the Cayman Islands Coast Guard.
Right, by the left, quick march.
Scouts and Cub Scouts. Cadet Corps.
celebration here on Grand Cayman, in front of Government House. The contingents are just making their way past what I believe is their final mark. Her Excellency the Governor, Premier the Honorable Juliana O'Connell Conley, they have both departed into Government House. Other dignitaries remain until the conclusion of this part of the ceremony. We are hoping to be able to talk to a couple of folks before we wrap up the broadcast. We'll have to let you know how that works. It can get very exciting for the recipients right after these honors are received. Family and friends are here. Lots of pictures get taken. And then, of course, don't forget that you're invited to come out at 5:30 to Government House for the garden party, which is always a great time. Generally, it's held a little earlier in the day. Having it a little bit later means things will be a bit cooler for everyone involved. And we even have a few beauty queens here today assisting out, handing out water, showing their support.
Members of the Cadet Corps ultimately prepared, standing guard alongside the parade contingent for any member of the uniformed service who falls victim to the summer heat. Thank you to them.
And I believe the queens of which I spoke are Cayman's Universal Beauty title holders.
Of course, the official ceremony today was led by Miss Ventisha Connolly of the Ministry of Youth, Sports, and Heritage.
That was the lovely voice you heard guiding us through much of the program today. The Scouts now making their way past. They've held up pretty well.
Quite appropriate, I think, April, that given the ceremonies and the heat that we can see popping over the wall of the Government House is a Cabrew tent. Interesting. Good choice. Good choice.
Very wise. All right, it looks as though we may have our opportunity to effort an interview or two before we wrap things up this morning. They're very strict about crossing the parade path while the parade is still underway. All right, Jebby, let's make our way across because I believe that we are safely in a position to do so. It is a beautiful morning in spite of the heat. I see a former colleague of mine, Mr. Kevin Watler, whose father was recognized today. So we are hoping to grab them for an interview in just a couple of moments. You are listening live to Radio Cayman.
Would you look, just coming down the steps now, one of the honored awardees, the newly made MBE, Miss Sharon Marie Martin. Good morning, Miss Sharon. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderfully blessed.
Tell me,
God, thanks for all his blessings.
tell me a little bit about what this award means for you.
Well, it's good to recognize that I'm grateful and honored to be recipient.
Thank you so much, Miss Martin.
All right, the next victim in this chain is Mr. Watler. How does it feel to be receiving this recognition for the work that you've done over the years?
Well, to be honest, elated. I am surprised and shocked. But, you know, the Lord does things in his own way. I'm glad to know that I'm recognized for some of the things, the many things I've done in the community. And I'm still out there doing. I will continue to do as long as God gives me health and strength.
Thank you so very much and congratulations. And before we get to Mr. Obi, Jevy Ebanks has got a quick interview.
Deputy Governor of the Cayman Islands, Gloria McField Nixon. Tell us a little bit, ma'am, for our Radio Cayman listeners about your observations this morning and what today means.
This was just a beautiful, beautiful morning as we gathered to celebrate outstanding individuals within the Cayman Islands community who have given tremendous service. I've had the privilege of watching fellow civil servants, retired and present, receiving awards, and they were so deserving. And to see the way that the entire community came out to support them, it was an absolute amazing event to be at, and I'm just grateful I was able to play a small part in today and in honoring these outstanding men and women within our community and who have given so much in service to country.
Do you have a favorite moment before we go?
It's really hard to have a favorite moment, but the singing of our national song it brought tears to my eyes. The young lady did such an amazing job, and she delivered it as an absolute professional, and I could see the entire audience just leaning in as she was delivering that song. So if there had to be a favorite moment, which is really difficult because there were many beautiful moments today, but that singing of our national song was just an outstanding job by the young lady.
Thank you so much, Acting Honorable Deputy Governor Gloria.
So, Jevy, I'm just going to take it from you very quickly because the fabulous Mrs. John Doe Obi is right here, and I have allowed her to go into the shade to speak to us. You look amazing. So impressed about the work that you have done over the years. How do you feel about today?
It is really exciting, actually, to get this award. I actually got it 2 years ago, so I actually got it from the Queen before she passed away. So we were one of the last ones to get that. So that's quite exciting. You know, when you do this sort of work, you do it because you want to do it. And, you know, after 20 years of work in the community, it's just amazing, and I'm quite excited.
And this brings recognition not just to you, but to the whole organization and the people who feel called to serve like this.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, when you think about an organization as the Red Cross, it is a voluntary organization. So the fact that people go to work, then they say, you know what, let me come in and give a couple of hours. I mean, we're just amazed. So it's just, I want to shout out to the Red Cross volunteers. They do an amazing job, and because of them, they keep us going. So yeah, all the volunteers, the staff, the board, I mean, we are a family. As big as we are a Red Cross family, and we love each other dearly, so yes.
Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you have to go get all of your photos taken over there, but thank you again for talking with Citizen for Radio Cayman today.
We're here for the King's birthday celebration. As we move through the audience, I have when we get by the Cabinet Secretary of the Cayman Islands, Mr. Samuel Rose. Tell us a little bit about your expectations and what you saw today.
Good morning to our Radio Cayman audience. It's been a beautiful morning. We've started an hour earlier than usual, so this was a quicker start, earlier start, and I think there's value in trying it out. The band was fantastic this morning. I want to express my gratitude to all the musicians who have turned out to supplement and to strengthen, reinforce our police band. Our police band is a wonderful tradition that was started many years ago in the 1970s by Mr. Melvin, the late Mr. Melvin Augustine. So it warmed my heart to see some of our local professional musicians joining the ranks this morning with our cadets and our other police band stalwarts in boosting up the music. So all in all, it's been a good showing, and a good showing of our people and our loyalty and affinity to our regent, our monarch, King Charles III.
A favorite moment that you share with our audience today?
Oh, listening to the rendition of Beloved Isles Cayman by the young and very talented Miss Delaney McTaggart, who would be the descendant of Miss Leela Ross Shire, one of the, connected to that family. So it was beautiful to see that connection there, and to hear her performing that music so beautifully. So yes, it was a good morning, all in all.
Thank you so much. That was Cabinet Secretary Mr. Samuel Rose.
And Jevi, that wraps up our coverage today. We've had a beautiful morning, an opportunity to talk to a number of the award recipients, but also to share with you the experience of what it's like out here today. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Of course, listen to Radio Cayman's news throughout the weekend and Holiday Monday. We'll have some excerpts and snippets and a full wrap-up for you early next week.
For Radio Cayman, I'm Jevi Ebanks.
And I'm April Cummings. We will see you next time.
From Radio Cayman, you've been listening live to the official birthday parade and celebration for His Majesty King Charles III, and it came to you live from the Government House on the West Bay Road.
Shaken yet standing firm. This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.